Hey folks, in today's video we're going to give you an update on where we've been and what we've been doing for our very first year on the homestead, and in the background we're going to be showing you what we've been working on.
Hey, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Keri and this is Douglas. We are two rebels off grid. We're building a sustainable, earth-friendly homestead here in southeast Arizona, which is Cochise County. We're in the foothills and we are building everything from the ground up. We bought raw property last year and we're building a hyper adobe homestead, and we're completely off grid. So if it's something that you might be interested in, we'd love if you would follow along if you're not already subscribed. And we're gonna kick off today by telling you where we've been, because it's been quite a while since we put a video out. So most of you know, we've been talking to you, that those of you that follow us or have been following us, we had a finite amount of time that we were gonna be not having to work, and we figured it was about a year, and we hit our year. So we are back to work. Both of us are back to work. Basically, we're pretty much full-time. So we were actually hoping to just work part-time, but it didn't work out that way. So we have really crazy schedules. My schedule is more of a traditional kind of an 8 to 5 day, and Douglas works in the food industry as a chef, and so his hours are a little bit wonky, and where I'm off on the weekends he may not be. So we've had a little bit of an adjustment period going on.
Yeah, leaving very limited time. I mean, we can get work done, but videotaping that work is also just taxing on us. It's we're spreading ourselves really thin. Imagine building a homestead and having to film it also. I mean, that takes a lot of energy and a lot of forethought, and it's just sometimes we're just too tired to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes we just don't have time off at the same time. That's been the biggest challenge, I think. And then of course we didn't work for over a year, and we got really spoiled being able to spend our time however we wanted to, and it's kind of a reality check, and we're really sorry that any of you might have worried about us, because I know some of you did, and some of you reached out and were like, are you guys okay? So we're fine. Everything's good, and we've been meaning to do this for a while, but we're going to get back on a regular track, and I think our goal is going to be, a realistic goal for us is going to be every week we should be able to get a video out. Hopefully more often than that, but realistically probably once a week is going to be a good goal for us.
All right, so today we did that first coating of the mortar on top of the roof, and I'm going to let that dry for about 2 weeks before I put on the second coat. And in the meantime, we are going to go back. We had a lot of pre-thought on how we were going to support this big wall here. So far it's held steady, but there's a reason why they used buttresses back in the old days, especially on like Gothic cathedrals and big high walls. Anything over like 10 feet would definitely have a buttress, and so is this chicken tower going to have. So if you remember, when we were doing the foundation, we did put in the initial foundation for the buttresses. So over the next few days I am going to work on stonework because I can. No, it's because I need to let that roof dry, and I also need to put up 2 more rows of earth bags up top so I can do the entire first coat, which would include the gutter, and then we can proceed from there and go into putting in the second coat, which would be a much thicker, and it will have more lime ratio to it, to the sand. It will be almost half and half when I do that second layer. But today we're going to do the stone buttresses, going to do some stone masonry work. I am not a stone mason. I've only watched videos and just from my recollection of history, studying at architecture of the old days. And I'm also going to finish up some of the stonework that I needed to finish on the goat house, because it still has about a foot of stone that I need to put in there. The goats like to try to jump up there and they knock the rocks down, so I need to get rid of that gap. But guys, hope you enjoy this video. This video is going to be all on masonry. I've already gathered some rocks. We'll see how far that gets me. As you all know, we're not short of rocks around here. I could build a kingdom here out of entire stone. I just need an army to help me. But we'll do the best we can just being me doing this work. Enjoy, guys. The chickens are already enjoying this. That's the first coat. You guys have seen this before, who've been watching these videos. Yep, we're gonna let that dry. All those little bird eye holes that you see, those won't be any big deal. They're all getting an inch of mortar on top of that. You won't even see them. They won't exist anymore. So for masonry, from my understanding, and like I said, do your own research. Don't be just assuming I'm like this person that knows it all. But I'm gonna do a ratio of 3 buckets of sand to 1 bucket of slaked lime, which is in this container here. It's terraformed together. I'm giving him credit for this because he was the first one I saw mention about slaking the lime. And I did research, and that's exactly what they did. They used to soak it in water. They basically burned stone. It turned into this white rock, and they would crush it, slake it, and cover it up with dirt for like a year, and then it would be ready for use. But in our situation, we're not building a castle. We're just building a mini tower that's only got to last my lifetime and hopefully somebody else's. But we're not building to last 1,000 years. Although I would not be surprised if this thing would be standing in 1,000 years from now. It'd be very interesting to travel forward in time and see. But yeah, so 3 to 1, and I might even throw in a thing of mixed clay and sand, so it'd be 4 to 1. But that's what I did the foundation with. It was 3 to 1 sand, 3 to 1 lime, and it seemed to held up. But today's a beautiful day. Let's get on it. So we finally been here for a whole year, living off grid, limited air conditioning, somewhat miserable and somewhat living the good life. You know, sometimes it's not good and sometimes it's good. And we just don't want to be that person that's putting up an illusion of everything's just grandeur and beauty and you're living the great life and everything. It's not that way at all. In fact, I think that the desert has more variation of weather than anywhere else I've lived in. And when it is hot, it's super hot, and it just seems to be relentless. Like 3 months of 100-degree temperatures, and that's unheard of around here, I guess.
Yeah, we had an unusually dry, hot, long summer, and that was pretty brutal, especially at that time. Doug and I were both job searching, and so we had to be in the RV on the computer a lot, and that was rough. But we got through it, and you know what we discovered, or what I discovered, I'm sure Doug already knew this about himself, but I realized I'm a little bit tougher than I might have thought I could have been. I was really worried about how summer was going to be, and not having air conditioning just immediately available at our fingertips. We had to, in order to have air conditioning, what we had to do was run one of our generators, which meant that we had to fill it up with gasoline. And that's not always an easy thing because we're rural and it takes a while to get to the gas stations and stuff. So running the air conditioner was not always feasible, or not always, you know, it can get expensive too with the price of gas. So that was one thing I learned, is that I could tolerate, my threshold in the trailer was pretty much 96 degrees. Once I hit that, I was like, I need to get out of here. But I actually could tolerate it up until that temperature. And I think because it's so dry out here, and then I would run I've got like a tower fan that I would run and just blow it right on me. And and it was actually okay. So some of the things that are, that we think we can't live without, we actually can. So that's one thing. It's not for everybody, but you miss the little luxuries. I'm going to be fully honest, I miss having a dishwasher. I miss having a washer and dryer. We'll get those eventually someday, but right now, we hand wash all our dishes, and then we have to go to town to do laundry, or we do laundry here, which I don't really have time for at this point. But yeah, so I think living off grid, it's had its challenges, but it's nothing that we haven't figured out. So I think it was kind of what I expected it to be. How about you?
Yeah. I would like to have a lot more free time not working at work, because I think that I could get this stuff done a lot faster. But now it's like I have to put in the work when I can, 3 hours in the morning or something like that. And on my days off, I work full time here on the property, trying to get things done. And stuff is getting done. It's getting done slowly, but I mean, it's a building, some people, it takes a year to build a house. We're not building the house yet, but it's just, that's it. Our walking pantries, which are farm animals, they're kind of annoying. They haven't gone out and foraged. They're not kicking rocks and scavenging for scorpions and ants and all that stuff. They just seem to want to sit around and wait for us to feed them, and that's just not going to happen. They're going to get a life lesson here shortly. They've been destroying a lot of our stuff. I'm talking about the chickens. And they're trying to get into our little living area right here and eat all of our plants and stuff. So, and the goats have their own issues too. I've been taking them up to certain bushes, and they'll go up there and they'll eat for a while, and then they'll browse, and then they'll come down and try to eat on our garbage cans and everything else like that. So the free ranging thing, sometimes they get grounded.
Yeah, they sometimes do. And I think the cool thing is that the goats, they can eat what's called browse in the area. We have a lot of creosote bushes on our property, and the goats actually really like the creosote. We're not milking these goats yet, so that's totally okay. But when we do start milking them, we're going to want to switch them over to alfalfa, because the local browse does affect the taste and quality of their milk. So, but the good thing is it's not really costing us much to maintain the goats, except just water, and then we supplement them with goat minerals, and I give them vegetables and fruit and stuff like that sometimes. But they're pretty low maintenance, actually, considering. And then, yeah, the chickens and the turkeys and the guinea fowl, they want to get into everything, and it doesn't take too much time to take care of these guys, but we're enjoying having eggs. They've been very prolific with their egg laying just recently, so that's really nice. Our livestock guard dogs and our other house dogs, Zoe and Willow, they actually really enjoy finding eggs. They love eating the eggs, so that's great. It's kind of a supplement to their meal. And then our little barn kitty, outdoor kitty, Clara, she is actually enjoying their eggs also. She gets one every morning, and it's good because she is expecting again. So her little kittens that she had back in May, they're about 5 months old now, and Clara looks like she's ready to go again for round 2 of baby kittens, so that'll be pretty exciting. They're all doing great. They really hang out with us and kind of stay in this area, but every night they bring back mouse after mouse after mouse, and some of them are starting to get the bigger pack rats, so that's awesome. They're totally doing their job, and it's really helped keep the mouse population down. Yeah, so we highly recommend, if you're going to live out here in this kind of a situation, it's a really good idea to have outdoor kitties that can help take care of those issues. We also have steel traps that we set up, but the cats have pretty much been handling it on their own.
In general, it seems like most of our plants have been doing really well on this, considering what's beneath the gravel. It's just more dirt and rocks, and everything's doing well. But we did put like 8 inches of some compost and stuff like that, and whatever drops, of course, is building soil. But our squash, our basil, is actually a basil tree now. It's got a trunk on it like this. Never seen that before in the herb. Well, maybe a rosemary bush I've seen like that before, but yeah, our eucalyptus are starting to look good. Our mulberry behind us is doing good. The bamboo's doing good. The one things that aren't doing well, and that's mainly because I think we have unseen critters. It's like the cats are doing good, but there's either a pack rat that's too big for the cats to kill, or they're just friends. They've made friends with each other or something, because the big pack rat's coming in here eating the bell pepper and stuff like that. And we've also had some visitors, some little creepy crawlies.
Snakes. Oh my God, Doug, please don't fall down there. So they rattle when they're in striking distance. Oh my God. Oh, I can't.
The fighter.
Yeah, I see him. Oh God, please don't let him come in here.
These are not happy.
I'm glad you guys don't come close.
Me too.
Do it quick, I guess, once you get him.
It's right here.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's like...
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Yeah, I hear him. Please be careful.
I'll come over and video it.
I'm going to. I'm just.
Oh, he's bigger.
He's
Oh,
bigger.
the cat's right there, dumbass.
Well, I don't.
We're
Okay, which cat?
He was like seriously like 2 feet away from it.
Oh shit. Which cat?
The gray one.
Oh no.
You got it?
Yeah, I'm videoing.
It's the second one tonight.
Oh God, please.
That's a Mojave too.
What the hell? Oh, nice catch.
That's a Mojave.
Please don't put it by me though.
He's same size that other one.
What is going on?
Yeah, the night of the serpent
Yeah.
occurred here one night.
So weird. So that's been kind of surprising, because a lot of our neighbors talk about like how many snakes they get and how they're constantly around their area, around their animals. And we've been keeping our eyes open for them, and we haven't had any at all this year. And then all of a sudden one night we had 2 right in this little patio area, and then we had another one the next night. So we had 3 within 24 hours.
And we wouldn't have known about them, but our big dogs, they stood about 10 feet away and they just barked at them, so they alerted them. So I think they've had an encounter with the snakes out in the wilderness on their adventures, and they've learned to stand far away from those snakes, but they did bark and let us alert. And then I put my flashlight down there, and sure enough, there was rattlesnakes. So they have never come up this close.
Yeah.
But the dogs alerted us. Otherwise, I mean, their rattle doesn't really sound like in the movies. It doesn't sound like a rattle. It sounds more like a hissing, and it's very subtle. So if you're losing your hearing or something like that, watch out, and I am losing my hearing. Watch out. They don't make as much noise as you think they would.
Yeah, it's not that traditional rattle at all. It is more, it almost sounds like water spraying kind of sound, but the dogs were awesome, and they clearly don't like rattlesnakes, and they were very vocal about it. But it was awesome because our livestock guard dogs, Ursa and Luna, they've gotten so big so fast. They're not even a year old yet, but they are absolutely incredible dogs.
Yeah, they bring home souvenirs.
Yep, they go on
Horse or cow. Horse or cow. I'm saying that it's probably a horse skull. But I think it took them like 2 days to get this home, because there's no way for them to put their mouth on it.
It's heavy.
But it's pretty heavy. It was already bleached, so it's been laying out in the desert for quite a while. But they've been bringing lots of stuff like this home.
They bring back all sorts of bones, large animal bones. We see deer parts. So they find stuff and bring it back, and then they chew on it and stuff, which is fine. We call it starting to nickname it the boneyard, because they have a certain spot that they drop these bones at. But these dogs are they're just amazing. I would highly recommend Great Pyrenees. I'm going to say though that the summer heat was pretty tough on them, but They adjusted, and they actually would spend most of the hot part of the day under our trailer. That seemed to be a cool spot for them. And, we made sure and kept them, put ice in their water and things like that. It was kind of tough, but they did most of their activity at night when it was cooler. But we were really encouraged that they are very snake averse. In fact, so snake averse that after we took care of the snakes, they were not wanting to be anywhere near the shovel or the tongs that we used, because we are not going to be relocating snakes. We at first thought we were going to relocate them, but the more we've learned about it, we've decided that if they are near our animals or our own living space, we are going to go ahead and dispatch them. And we feel that the quickest, most humane way to do it is probably not shooting them, because that gets messy and it's not always accurate. So we actually just use snake tongs and we decapitate them, which is very fast. And we feel like that's the most humane thing to do. It's not something that we enjoy doing, and we don't want to do it if we don't have to. But if they pose a risk to any of our animals, we have to take care of them that way. So it's kind of sad, honestly. I'm not really a fan of snakes, but it still makes you feel, it kind of makes you feel bad. At least it does for me. Not for you.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit.
I just guess I think that a snake that comes to your property will always come back. It's and some people are right living with a snake, but I'm not going to take the chance, especially when we're at least an hour from any decent hospital. You know?
Yeah, and these are Mojave. The ones that we got were Mojave, and those are, you can look that up. They're really dangerous, and they're actually, like, even if Doug or I were bit by a Mojave, it's just not a good snake to get bit by. So we did find one of our kitties was playing with a king snake, a little baby king snake, the other night, and that was kind of cute. But we relocated that snake just away from the cats, because the cats don't seem to have the same instincts about the snakes as the dogs do, unfortunately. And there's not really anything we can do about that, except just hope that they, stay away from them. But when the snakes that were here the other night were hissing, rattling, whatever you want to call it, the kitties were unaffected. They didn't even seem to be worried, and they were the ones that the snake was hissing at, along with the dog. So anyway, so hopefully we don't lose any cats, but it is a possibility.
Bugs. Bugs. Last year when we came here, there's a few things that kind of have changed since we came here last year, because we were living on the property last year. The bugs were a lot worse, and we also got a lot more rain. This year we had unmeasurable amounts of rains. It's like there was probably less than 2 inches up here on the hill of rain. But the bugs weren't as bad, but when they do come out, they are annoying as all heck. Just letting you know that.
Yeah, but it's just a short period. We've noticed just as the temperatures have started to cool and we didn't get much rain, the bugs have kind of mellowed out quite a bit right now. The bugs aren't too bad right now, but we did have, earlier in the season, we did have kind of a fly issue going on, but that was more because the birds were coming down here and we hadn't fenced our living area off. And so they were pooping, and that was drawing flies. We got it all under control. Fencing the area off helped a lot. And then we got, we don't like using chemicals, but we did buy this fly spray that we got on Amazon. And I'll put the link in the description, because if you are living out here and you do get a fly problem, this stuff is amazing. We don't really promote using chemicals or anything like that, but it's a fly attractant, and it basically kills them on contact. So they like to hang out like around our cooler, our ice cooler, and we will spray the surface because they land on there, and it actually helped get things under control really quick. It's pretty amazing stuff. So the flies were annoying, but we fixed that. We haven't had really any mosquitoes or anything like that this year. No problems with too many pests eating stuff, but we do get a little bit of pests in the garden as far as bugs go. But nematodes were on one of our pepper plants at one point, but we got that under control. So yeah, it's not been that bad this year compared to last year. So I'm sure it's a direct correlation to the rain. And also we were a lot closer to the big wash last year, And so that might have also played a part with how many bugs we were having. We're kind of up higher now on our property. And I think the bugs aren't as bad up here also. So that's kind of cool. You can move it around. That's cool. So one big change that we've had in our lives in the last year is moving from a very suburban kind of metro area, pretty close to Denver, out here to the country, and we're now living very rural. And it's definitely been a big change. There's some things that we miss, there's some things that we don't miss at all. And, you know, the traffic, there's no traffic out here. It's just wide open driving, which is wonderful. It's quiet and it's just very peaceful. So we have a lot of birds that are in Cochise County. It's a huge bird watching area, and we've been enjoying that. That's one of the things that's pretty cool, is all these different birds will come into our garden. We get hummingbirds and all sorts of different colored birds, which is cool. We didn't really have that in where we lived before. So it's been a bit of an adjustment. You know, everything, basically all the towns here in Cochise County are like 20 to 30 minutes apart. So it's a little bit of a drive to get to things. We've adjusted pretty well, and we've gotten pretty good at limiting our trips into Sierra Vista, which is where we get most of our supplies. We've gotten pretty good at shopping at the local stores, which is really the Dollar General and Dollar Tree, I think it is, or Family Dollar. I think those are the $2 stores. They have a lot of stuff, and we've learned a lot of people get their supplies from there, you know, and then they make trips into the city when they need to. And we've gotten pretty good at managing that. Well, you know, we don't have any delivery services as far as like Grubhub or DoorDash. We can't do any of that anymore. So we cook a lot more than we did before, which is good. And we love being out here. It's just very calming. We sleep better than we did in the city. I don't know what else about living rural. Do you regret living rural, or is this better or worse?
This is better. It's we finally got a building that's got a roof on it, so we finally have shade.
Yeah.
So we're not sitting out here directly under the sun.
Yep.
We're starting to plan other micro buildings upon the property for future projects.
Yeah, those will be starting pretty soon.
We got to put in a bathroom soon it'll be an outhouse of sorts with a 3-barrel composting system. We are going to be emptying these tents that are up here on top of the hill. So the only thing hopefully you'll see eventually is just a bunch of cisterns in the chicken tower in the RV.
Yeah, and I want to, you know, one of the things, I don't know if a lot of people communicate this, but I feel like this is really important for everybody to know, especially if you're considering doing this. We're building very, very low cost. We're building hyper adobe, which most of you know. We're using our own dirt. We're using our own sand. We do have to buy straw that we can mix up and use, and that's pretty inexpensive. It's like $12 for a bale. So building hyper adobe is very cost effective. It's very labor intensive. It's taken us way longer than we anticipated. It takes way longer to lay the bags than you might expect. So that's really important to know that. If you can build a small building pretty quick if you've got more than a few people working on it, but with Doug and I, just the two of us working on it, it takes quite a bit of time. And the other thing that I feel like is really important to communicate to people is that homesteading is not cheap. Okay, a lot of people think we're going to come out here and live like really inexpensively, which you can, but to put the infrastructure into place that we needed, water cisterns, tools,
just going back and forth to town, the gas,
yep, that's a factor. You know, we needed to buy, we don't have a pickup truck, we have an FJ Cruiser, and we had to buy a trailer so we could haul supplies back and forth because some things don't fit in the car. That was expensive. Having our propane delivered, because our trailer runs on propane for the heater and the stove and the oven and the hot water tank, and so we have to have propane. That's not cheap. It's pretty expensive. We did go ahead and make the investment in having, it's about a 250-gallon tank put in. We get that filled occasionally. There's just things that it can add up pretty quick, and if you're going to build hyper adobe and you don't have a source of clay, dirt, sand, that's something that you need to consider. So if you're looking at property, really assess it for that, because if we didn't have a source of that on our land, we would have to have that hauled in and delivered, and you're looking at least $300 plus a load. So homesteading's not cheap. You know, we also bought a generator to run our trailer when we needed to, and that also runs our tools. The cisterns are roughly $2,000 each, depending on the size, the quantity that you buy. We do have to have water hauled out. It's way cheaper still than having drilled a well, but there's a lot of costs, and they add up and they add up. And then we also have noticed that things that we try, that you spend money on, and then you're like, well, this doesn't work out here because the desert, the sun, the intensity of the sun and the wind breaks things down very quickly. So things that aren't made out of metal, so fabrics break down really quick, plastics break down really quick, duct tape doesn't work too well because it gets hot and it loses its sticky. I mean, there's been things that we've bought that we had to buy again. Plastic garbage cans, don't get those. They're not going to work. They'll work for a bit, but then they'll start to break down, and then the plastics get really brittle. So we try to avoid plastic now at all costs, but that means buying things like metal garbage cans to store livestock food and store our trash in, because if we get plastic, it's going to break down. Things can chew through it. So all that stuff, you don't realize how quickly it adds up.
Yeah, and be forewarned, if you're coming out here like on the sale of your house or something like that, that money's going to run out eventually. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to get a job, and to be quite honest, there really is not a lot of jobs out here. Mm-hmm. So we're very blessed to have been able to get jobs.
Yep.
We're not that internet savvy where we're making millions off the internet or anything like that. So if that's an avenue that you choose to go, then kudos for you.
Yeah.
But I actually had to go back to my old trade, which I haven't actually had to do in about 8 years, because I was in corrections for 7 years. So, but I'm back in it. Not really enjoying it, but I know I have to, because we have to buy windows. We have to buy stuff like that for the house. So yeah. I'm going to suck it up, and once all that stuff is done, we can cut back our hours a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, we're very fortunate that, there is service industry jobs in the area, but there's not. Cochise County is not known for like Amazon warehouses or, big tech or anything like that, telecommunications. None of those traditional industries are really out here. So you're looking at, small mom and pop employment, restaurant employment. There's some hotels and things like that, but there's not a lot. So that's a factor. We knew going into this that I would be able to get work online. So I work online, and I do work from home, and that's a huge blessing because I've got enough flexibility to where I can take care of things around here and get things done, and not have to drive anywhere. Doug does have to commute, so that's another time and gas thing. So I think I don't think it's anything that we weren't expecting, but I felt like I wanted people to understand that it's not a cheap lifestyle, even though it might look like we might look like we're living cheap, but we're not. So we're definitely way better off than we were, though, working 8 to 5, both of us full time, and paying a house payment that we probably would have struggled to ever own the house. We probably would have struggled to ever really pay it off. And here we're building with cash. So when we're done with our house and when we're done with our buildings, we will own them. It's not going to be, something that we're paying a mortgage on. So that in itself is completely worth it. We did focus on getting out of debt before we started this, and that has also been tremendously helpful. It's not that we don't have debt, we still have some, but we're not anywhere near where we were a year and a half ago. So don't think you're going to come out here and live like super cheap, because it's you're not going to, if you want a certain standard of living. So so that's a big thing to consider. All right, so now that we're kind of back on track, we're going to get our videos back on track, and appreciate you guys that stuck with us through our lull time. But we're gonna finish up the chicken coop. It should be done in the next few weeks. We've been making tremendous progress on it. We have a friend that's been helping us out, and having a third set of hands has made a gigantic difference, and that's been very, very instrumental in getting it done quicker. And then we're going to wrap it up, and then we're going to move to our next projects, which are
the
bathroom, and then we're going to plumb it for a shower, just like a rainwater shower. And we're also going to go ahead and get going on our septic. There was some confusion with our septic system because the people that originally designed it kind of confused us with somebody else and designed it wrong. So we had to, anyway, it was kind of a cluster, but we got that all ironed out. And so we're going to go ahead and start on our non-traditional septic. We don't have the ability to do a leach field here because we have so much rock. So we're doing a vault and haul style system, which means it stores the sewage in the container, and then we have a septic company come out and pump it. So that was our solution for that. So we're going to start that soon. We're also going to be building a small hyper adobe shed for tool storage and things like that.
And then the house.
And then we're going to get going on the house. Yeah.
Yes, which will probably be a couple videos of trying to mentally figure it out and work with you guys on what would be the best choices for that.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot of challenges with the house, but it should be all right.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks for sticking around to the end, you guys. Appreciate you guys, and appreciate those of you that checked up on us that were worried, and we're sorry we made you worry, but we appreciate you.
Yep. We'll see you next time.
Yep. See you soon.
All right.